Sylvia and me.
Sylvia and
Sylvia and me. Sylvia and
Sylvia and me.
Sylvia.
Talent is not going to ensure your success. It's your mindset. If your mind is cluttered and turbulent and distracted, again, it doesn't really matter how much talent you have, you're still not going to get to your best.
Hi, I'm Sylvia Beckerman, host of the podcast series Sylvia and Me. Conversations with inspiring, empowering women.
My name is Dr. Dana Sinclair. I am a performance psychologist, and I work with a variety of people, athletes to business people to everybody and anybody. And welcome to Sylvia and Me.
Dr. Sinclair, if you don't mind, as I said, I'm informal. I'd like to call you Dana because we're going to have a nice conversation. And I won't remember to call you Dr. Sinclair anyway.
I don't go by that. It's just an introduction, that's all.
I love it. Dana, you said you're a sports psychologist,
performance psychologist, yep.
And your new book, Dialed In, Do Your Best When It Matters Most. I love on the cover, it has a quote, "Anytime you enter the eye of the storm, you need a guiding light. And with this book, Dana gives us an inspiring and innovative path forward." Billie Jean King. You've worked with not just athletes and top sports teams and names that people would know. You also have worked with corporations and you've worked with individuals. I love performance psychologists because, as we just said, it's not just sports, performance, and we all perform in some way or another. It's part of who we are. One of the things that people always try to say is that they lack confidence in what they're doing, or, when it comes down to the wire, whether it be a child going up on stage, a teenager, a surgeon, as you said in your book, going in to do even routine surgery. And of course, sports teams, as they're getting out on the field, a lot of times they use the word confidence. And one of your things is breaking myths. So tell us about confidence and what you think about that particular word.
Okay, gladly. I think confidence is thrown at us all the time. You can't be successful if you're not confident. You have to trust yourself. You have to believe in yourself. Confidence is about how you feel, but performing well is about what you do. So I think we inadvertently teach people to rely on how they feel all the time, when you can feel terrible or great and perform well or poorly. It doesn't matter. It's not about how you feel. It might make you feel a little bit more comfortable going into an event or a performance, feeling relaxed and comfortable, sure. But if you don't keep your focus when the heat's on, you're not going to perform very well. So it's overrated. Confidence is overrated.
And as you said, if you're not there, if your focus isn't there, if you're not there in the moment, how could you possibly perform when your brain is talking to you about, you got to do this, you got to do that, and it's, as you said, it's a feeling, which we know feelings change moment to moment.
They do. It's true. It can be moment to moment, day to day, hour to hour, whatever. It's a very intangible concept. And relying on that is not a smart move because it's an unreliable term.
You want to break some of the myths, and confidence is one of them.
Definitely.
What is another huge one that people go by?
Talent. That success is all about talent. If you don't have it's all about skill and talent, and that's it. When I've seen so many talented people flame out in their careers, do poorly, whereas other people who are mediocre, they have enough, they're okay, they've risen to the top. And it's not about your talent so much. Sure, you need to maybe know how to do, of course, the task that's in front of you.
You mean like hit a ball or be able to
anything, stand on stage.
Yes.
Anything, a dinner party, whatever. But it's talent is not going to ensure your success. It's your mindset. If your mind is cluttered and turbulent and distracted, again, it doesn't really matter how much talent you have, you're still not going to get to your best. And that's what I talk to people about is their pressure moments. And we all have them. Depend, no matter what our job or relationships are, we've all got them.
And you just said relationships. So how does one weed through all of this mud and the ups and downs, because it basically is the waves and the mud that we're going through, in order to really focus on that particular event that's taking place in your life?
Well, again, it's first, one has to pick the event or the situation, because there is a lot of mud out there, that's true, but a lot of people are doing fine. Thank you very much, day to day. It's the big moments that pull them down. And they hold back in the big moments, and then the satisfaction is affected because they haven't performed as they know they could have, or in their mind should have, or what their ability allows. So I think the first thing, like to me, there's a process for this, which applies to anybody. And the first thing is to figure out what messes you up, what gets in the way, what distracts you, what feelings bother you, what frustrates you. Finding out those things first, that's the number one step.
Okay. And so that's also a process. That's how
It
does
doesn't
one
have to
even,
be.
it has, so is that something that we should be doing on a regular basis? Is it something that we should be making note of? Because when it comes to these events where we think confidence is going to get us through and talent is going to get us through, and you freeze because that's your
The
mind
tension.
isn't there.
Yes, the tension rises and your mind shifts over onto what I call hotspots or distractions. So it could be, oh my gosh, you've switched over onto results. Am I going to do this? Is this going well? Negative thoughts, your expectations, worries about other people's expectations, self-doubt, self-criticism. There's a whole list of things that you could check off. The idea is to figure out, okay, what are the one or two things that really do throw me sideways when I'm performing this event? I'll give you an example. I had an American Idol contestant, and she had made it through the first audition. And I spoke to her. I thought she was going to be thrilled, Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, all of this. And she was beside herself. She was freaking out, panicking. I can't do it. I don't have any confidence. They all have much more confidence than me. I'll never be able to do it. I'll never have that kind of confidence. Okay. I said, whoa, hold on. Didn't you just do it? Didn't you just get your golden ticket? How'd you do that? You didn't have any confidence. Oh, well, I do have a really good voice. And she managed in that moment to sort of connect to the song and to stay on top of her high notes. So she pulled her focus into what she had to do, even though she didn't feel very confident. That's how she did it. We can all do that. Now, we had to work on, of course, what got in her way, and things like worrying what the judges were going to say, worrying that she wasn't good enough, had she practiced enough, all those things. So once we figured out what really got in her way mentally, sort of those psychological barriers, the negative talk, then we could work around it with a short, easy plan that focused on what to do.
And that's just it. And we have such a habit. And when I say we, I would say the majority of people, at least the ones that I know, have such
Me too.
We talk so negatively to ourselves that we, instead of talking ourselves off of the roof or I forget the wording, we self-sabotage.
It's easy.
Totally.
It's true.
Totally. I mean,
Self-protection, self-sabotage, holding back, being afraid of failing, all of those things. They're scary.
So So if you fail, what do you tell someone to do? I mean, even if their mindset, how do they how do you tell someone to walk back from a failure and use that to succeed the next time, or at least try to?
Right. Well, first of all, perfection is not going to happen. It's a script for self-defeat. So we go for excellence or good enough, first of all. Then the easiest way to think about it for yourselves too is, okay, when I'm really good at X, whatever I'm talking about, maybe it's exams or speaking with a difficult person or your 15-year-old or whatever. When I'm really good, what am I thinking? How am I behaving? Where's my tension level? How am I talking to myself? What am I focused on? Make a list of those things when I'm good and when I'm satisfied, when it's going okay, make a list of those. And then conversely, when I'm not so good or when I'm not happy with how I'm doing or what the situation is producing, where's my tension? What am I thinking? How am I behaving? How am I speaking to myself? How am I speaking to others? Make a note. There'll be a difference. And that way it's pretty clear, oh, maybe I want to replicate these things that are a little bit more productive and effective than always just defaulting to the bad stuff. And it's pre-planning just a little bit. It doesn't take long, but you have to be honest with yourself. You
Well,
have to
that's
sort of
it.
face it. Yeah.
And should somebody look at the end goal, or should they be in the present and in having the confidence or the mind, not the
I
confidence,
get it.
the mindset to do what they're supposed to do in that moment, like the young lady from American Idol. Um, Instead of going up there to win per se, doing the best that she can and having the mindset to put the negativity, all those negative thoughts aside.
Yeah.
So are we looking for the yes, a surgeon is looking to really, save the patient and do well. Whereas when you're playing, in a sports related, yeah, you'd like to win, but is focusing on your mindset at that point more important than the end goal, which is winning?
Absolutely, because that's how you win. People jump ahead and think about the result and winning, and then they're not actually staying focused on what they have to do to win. So in my practice, I'm not big on goal setting, quite frankly, because everybody that I deal with, their goal is to be spectacular. They want to be great. They want to win. We know that. So we focus on, okay, how am I going to do that? What do I have to do? What's in my way, first of all? What's messing me up? I'm too negative. And as soon as sort of the tough bit comes up, I get tense and I panic, whatever it is. Then once they realize, okay, I have to watch what I say to myself and I have to stop. When I doubt myself, I have to do something different than what I'm doing. Okay, so we deal with that. Now we move on to step 2 of the 3-step process, which is there's 4 skills that I think are useful. Pick one. Okay? You can do all 4, you can do 3, you can do 1, but you have to do 1. And then once you've got those strategies laid out, make a quick little plan. It should fit on a Post-it note in your hand. And now you're ready to go. So you've pre-planned it. You've got things in the moment. So when you're a little stressed or tense or, not sure, you've got something that you can go right to in your head to actually do.
Okay, so you mentioned 4 skills.
Yes. Okay.
Let's mention number 1.
Let's roll through them. Okay. If you're going to do just one, it's about getting calm or calm-ish and staying there longer. So how do I get myself calm? How do I soothe myself in the moment? Because that's the culprit. When you really want something or the moment is meaningful, that's when we can get cluttered in our head. That's when we can shift over, into distraction. So what's the easiest way to sort of get calm quickly? I mean, you can't go meditate. You can't go do yoga. You've got sort of 5 seconds, 10 seconds. You got to breathe. It's all about
Breathe.
slowing it down, doing it right. Because when we get tense, shoulders are up, mind is off, breathing is rapid, and it's connected to your emotions. So if you're breathing shallowly and quickly, where do you think your emotions are? Like when you're angry or frustrated, your breathing changes. It's up here, shoulders are tight, you can't think. So when you breathe calmly or calm-ish, right? You don't have to be Zen, just calmer, and slow things down and relax a little bit physically, mind-wise, your emotions can come into line. You can bring your emotions into line just by doing that. So breathing slowly is key. You don't have to worry about breathing big, deep breaths, just slowly in through your nose, out through your nose if you can, but if it's through your mouth, through a straw, because that will automatically slow you down. Get those shoulders down, exhale longer, you're good to go. It's a good start.
Very simple. And what is so not appreciated is things do not have to be complicated. When we complicate things, we really do ourselves in.
Yeah, because performance is important to us, as I say, when it's meaningful or you want it. So what do? Of course, we complicate it. We self-sabotage because we jump ahead. Oh no, what if this doesn't go well? Well, it can't be me. I need to have an excuse ready to go. So I better, just not stick to the task. I better have something that I can have an excuse for.
Okay. Calm is the most important. If you're going to pick one of four, give us another one. Another
Okay,
skill.
second important one is, I call them performance cues. So those are just things that you do that allow you to complete the task. It's about execution. So again, if you're playing tennis, if you're not getting to the ball and you're late, you're not going to be able to hit
Get
the
it?
ball properly over the net, right? You're not going to be able to put the spin on you need to and be accurate. So for a lot of people that I deal with, they have to make sure they keep moving and hit up on the ball. So those are just two performance cues. If you're doing a presentation on stage, people that I deal with, they have to watch their breathing, but then they think about, okay, just stay connected to my words, to what's on the screen, what my slide is, or to the topic that I'm on. They have to actually tell themselves to do that. If you're in an interview, say you're a Zoom interview, are you looking at the panel? Are you actually reminding yourself to listen to the words, sitting back, relaxing, or not? If you're not doing those things, you may have a tendency to not hear what they're saying and ramble on. Those are cues, things to do in the moment, keep you on task.
So far, those two skills take you through life.
You're
Through
right.
relationships, through raising a family, through interacting with friends and anyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, so skill number 3.
Talk your way through it. Check on yourself. Is your self-talk negative and unproductive? Does it hold you back?
Self-sabotaging.
Right. Or is it at least constructive and allowing you to get through the moment? Say if it's an interaction, are you being defensive and not listening? Or are you talking calmly and to the other person? Are you talking to yourself in a negative way? Or yeah, is it constructive? Is it effective? Right? If you're going to be defensive, you're coming at the other person, you might be attacking them, you might be raising your voice. That's not good. That's not good out talk, and it's not good inside talk either. So self-talk's pretty important. Got to talk your way through the interaction. Hey, I can do this, like the inside talk, right? The internal chatter. I can do this if I just stay calm and actually listen to the person and remind myself that I'm actually good at this and I'm okay. That's the type of talk you want to at least figure out for you what works. It just can't be calling yourself down and saying, you're terrible, you can't do this, you're lousy. Even if it's true, which it's not helpful in the moment.
In the moment again. All right.
Yeah, I'm all about in the moment. Those
Fourth
pressure
skill.
moments. For skill. Daydreaming. Keep daydreaming. You've got to practice and rehearse in your head. You can't just walk into a situation and expect it to all work out. Thinking it through a little bit ahead of time. How do I want to behave? How do I want to appear? How am I going to interact with that person? What am I going to do on stage? Practice. It's mental rehearsal. And you can get an image in your head of how you want to be or the skill you're trying to improve in 5 seconds. You can practice that in 5 seconds. And if you did that 3 times a day, you will actually start to think more about what you want to do and not about what you don't want to happen.
4 life skills.
Yeah, you've got to be able to shift when you drift. Your mind's going to drift over onto those things, onto the negative and the worries. You've got to have something prepared to shift back over onto what to do, how to talk, how to think.
How did you get into the specialty? What in your life took place that said, aha, this is the field that I want to do?
Well, it took a while and it wasn't very well planned out, but it ended up well. I was on a national team. I played for the Canadian and national field hockey team, and I loved performing at a high level. And, over time, you could see that some people who were very talented didn't necessarily show up in the tough moments, when the pressure was on. Well, other people, they were okay, but you could always rely on them. You knew what you were going to get from them on a, game to game basis. So that sort of started my interest. And also, having a couple of coaches along the way that were terrible, and how they would treat certain people and how that would affect people's performances and their psyche and their self-worth and their confidence. So that always was of interest to me. And I ended up I just kept going to school and ended up in psychology and did 2 PhDs, and then ended up in the hospitals doing research in reproductive psychiatry. And then I thought, well, you know what? This combination of all the schooling I've done, I really like the performance side because it applies not just to sports, to life, to anybody in any job.
To life, whether it
It
be
is.
a job, something you need to do. It's life. As we just
Parenting. Yep.
relationships,
Yes.
work,
Yes.
friends,
Yes.
all of this is so important. And there's skills that we should focus on.
And what you said before too, about us complicating things, we do tend to do that. And what I would like people to realize is it isn't as daunting as you think. It isn't as complicated as you think. As I say, most of the time you're doing just fine. You just have to maybe touch up some of these moments in your life that scare you or that get in the way. It takes courage to try to be good, but it's not as hard as we all make out.
See, courage is a good word, and people don't understand that it's really there. If they look hard enough, it's there. It's underneath all the layers of all that negative talk.
It's true. And the other part of that negative talk or self-talk is I like to get people to talk their way through their lives with the good stuff. People get beaten down people have things happen. It's hard to strive sometimes. So we forget our accomplishments. And I love people to write a list of their facts, what they've done well, whether it's a promotion or a trophy or whatever. It can be just being kind, or what other feedback they've received from people that is meaningful to them. Everybody can have a list of things that they've done well or they feel good about. It's just we automatically say, oh, I can't do that. I don't know. I don't do anything well. Come on. Yes, you do. Settle, take a breath, breathe a little bit. Now go back to that piece of paper and start writing a few things down. Have those in your back pocket. Pay attention to those things. They're very important.
And all these points are simple enough. It's not a question where you have to take meditation classes or
No.
any other, go off to a retreat and spend thousands of dollars to
That's
figure
right.
out, what's in my head. It's, sometimes we negate, we push aside things that
Right.
seem too easy. Because as we talked about before, if it's not complex, it can't work.
Absolutely. I think everybody gets caught up in that, especially people who are more perfectionistic and feel that if it's not perfect, it's not good enough.
What's perfect?
Nothing. It's not going to
Exactly.
happen.
Can
It's
you
not going to
imagine
happen.
how boring would life be if it was perfection? No. I think, first of all, your book, Dialed In, Do Your Best When It Matters Most. And when it matters most, yes, you're, with the sports and people who are performing and so on. But it's as we talked about, it's real life. It's everyday life. It touches every single corner.
Yes. And you see, if we don't do anything about our hotspots or our pressure moments, it's like if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting.
Mhm.
And, that might be very satisfactory for some people, but, and if it is, carry on. But if there's any room for a little bit of improvement in any zone in your life, use some simple strategies to get to your best. It's again, it's for anybody and everybody. We're talking about getting more out of yourself as opposed to being number one in the world.
Which is so much more important, because being number one in the world and not appreciating yourself, they're going to collide at some point.
Yes. What's wrong with being pretty darn good? Thank you very much. Right?
I think pretty darn good is pretty darn good.
And I actually am a big good enough, because people, they're definitely good enough. They think that's a bad connotation to it, people think, but I think it's great. Anything more than good enough, okay, if you can and you want to, and it's helping you, sure. Good enough is a wonderful thing to be.
Dana, I thank you. I think this book is something that could help just about everyone. And I love that you have a 3-step process for making our own performance plans. And as we've talked about, yes, you are, your specialty is performance, and we perform in everyday life.
Everybody's a performer.
Where can people find out more about you?
Oh, at drdanasinclair.com or at Dr. Dana Sinclair on Instagram.
Dana, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with me here today. And I'll repeat the name of the book, Dialed In, Do Your Best When It Matters Most. And it matters most usually on a daily basis for us to really good enough.
Yes, a little bit more often does the trick. So please, everybody, learn to shift when you drift, because we always drift. Just learn to shift it back. Sylvia, thank you. That was great. Appreciate the talk.
You can find us on all of your popular podcast platforms. And of course, our website, sylviaandme.com. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, stay tuned.